Hi guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching doing the trade review for Friday, September 5th, non-farm payrolls day. So to start off the trade review, I want to go through some basics really quick. First of all, in my eyes, non-farm payrolls is very difficult, okay, because of the potential, okay, for very wide, fast-ranging markets. So those two things. First of all, the markets can be very wide. Secondly, the speed increases dramatically, right? And just like in anything else, okay, so this is a mechanical machine, and we are humans trying to make that decision. And not all of us, right, or most of us, probably anyone listening to this videotape, right, we probably struggle to make quick adjustments with the market. I know I certainly do. I have to work hard to adjust to the pace of the market quickly, okay, and that's something that can be very stressful and very hard. When I'm coming into a day where I already know, because there's an event, non-farm payrolls only happens once a month, where the volatility will increase, the first thing I normally do is I just say I'm not trading the first hour. Why? What does that do for me? It keeps me from getting involved in any whipsaws or crazy moves where someone's trying to jam just a truckload of volume through the market, and because that results in me having a diminished edge. Okay, and my edge, right? An edge is something that I know a trading edge is something that you know you can exploit and get over X number of samples, get on a consistent basis X results, right? So I know normally my basic concept is when we come into the zone, first time into the zone, this is what I expect. I expect the market to pause first time into the zone and then hopefully give me a rotation back up, okay? We pre-market, this zone was actually here pre-market, and in the live market preview I made an adjustment and moved it back. But that still doesn't mean that I've chosen that I'm going to change my mind and trade that first hour. Why? Well, for the same reason as this market swept up through here, right, on non-farm payrolls straight up. Look at the size of this rotation. This rotation is from 2000 all the way to 2009. This rotation is 1997, right? So I would expect at least on non-farm payrolls 1987 to kind of mirror this move, right, as a potential. And this was under normal circumstances. So oftentimes I want to give time and a half of a stretch before I take a trade, number one, okay? Number two, as you can see, you could have said, well, we're going lower, shorted here, got stopped out, watched it go lower, right, and then watched it go higher. Conversely, you could have said, oh, we're going to reverse and go up, taken the trade here at 1994, and easily gotten tagged out in 98, only to watch it go out, and actually we went out just 2 ticks below this 2008 trade location here, right? So what's my point in bringing that up? My point is that it's not just enough to be able, if you're trading in a leveraged fashion, which I am, it's not enough to be able to look at the market and go, market's probably going here or market's going there. You need the other component, which is where can I get a good high odds entry where it won't smoke me? So the basic concept behind the zones is, and I have a video on my blog, I'll post it. First time into the zone, I get a pause and hopefully a rotation back up for 2 points, and I take my 2 points and move on to the next trade. Or if I'm a more advanced trader and I'm trading hopefully multiple contracts and I'm on a good stretch, I can take my 2 points. I still have my stop generally 2 points behind the zone, and I can either pull my stop up to the swing low or net whatever my net break even is, and hopefully ride the trailers back to the upside, or if it's coming from the downside, from the upside back to the downside, right, depending on the market environment. Okay, so there are things that make me skip taking the zones. Non-farm payrolls is one of those things. Why? It's so violent and so brutal and raises my anxiety level, right? So I know it has to raise someone else. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I know if my anxiety levels get raised, other traders get their anxiety levels raised supremely, or they just lose a lot of money and get pissed off, one of the two, right? So I don't trade the first hour. Obviously, the concept of the zones work just fine. First time in the zone, we get a beautiful 1990 to 1997 rotation, right? This is second time into the zone, okay? Second time, in my eyes, is always dangerous, okay? Reason why? This was actually a zone yesterday. It was a little adjusted, but it was 0150 to 0350. First time into the zone gave a rotation back up and a pause, worked perfectly. Second time into the zone gave a huge break to the downside, and that is something that I always am and always will be very concerned about is the second time into the zone. And again, because I know I have such a high win rate when I get it right, I'm not very concerned about the second and third trades. There's two ways to approach futures trading. One way is to say, I want to get as many trades as I humanly can, right, out there and stack them up one after the other. In my eyes, that's the hard way. The easy way to do it is go, I want to go where my highest odds locations are, right, and take the time frames that are my highest odds time frames and execute in those windows over and over and over again, even if it's only 1 or 2 trades a day. But that's what keeps my stress levels low. What that leads me to contend with is boredom, right? Because I'm sitting there watching the market. That means I'm sitting there watching the market for long periods of time and not taking trades. That's where the distinction comes in, right, between are you making money consistently, right, or are you staying active consistently, as Dr. Menaker and Dr. Steenbarger always have well documented, right? The challenge is that we move from being paid for our work by the hour to being paid by a good decision or a bad decision. And if you think of all the people you know. How many people you know make 10 good decisions in a row in anything? Hell, I've seen people go to the grocery store and they can't make 10 good decisions in a row. I don't even know if I can make 10 good decisions in a row. Eventually I get to the Oreo cookies, right, or the ice cream aisle, and that bad decision is likely coming pretty quickly, right? So that being said, okay, first time into the zone, we rotated. This is first time in, okay? Notice I was very careful not to put a zone anywhere in between here. I had a reason for it. I go through in the live market preview, but I did not feel there was a valid zone in this area. Which meant this was my first location for a trade. It was also outside of the first hour, and even though, and it was just past, and we came into it just past New York lunch, right? That makes it a valid setup for me. And if you look at the trade rotation size, right, basically 1988.50, let's just call it 1989, right, all the way up to 202, that's a 13-point stretch. Generally, that's a pretty good trade entry for me to expect a pause in a rotation. So we got exactly that. We got this. I skipped the first hour. I avoided the second move into the zone, which is following my trade plan. So mission accomplished, right? First time into the zone, I took the trade. I had a limit order in. They filled me. I have a 25-minute limit on how long I'm usually willing to stay in a trade. 5, 10, 15, and here was 20. At this point, I moved my stop to break even, which I avoided getting hit just by a tick. I finally compromised and took 7 out of 8 ticks because I was having a hard time getting hit on the bid. Had I had just a drop more patience, that would have happened. But the fact of the matter is the price action had changed dramatically from a highly volatile one right back to this slow grind that we've been dealing with. And I had no intention of fighting this market here. Okay, I got to say, perhaps slightly patting myself on the back, that I had no intention of sitting there and fighting the upside grind. I took the trade. I gave it its 25 minutes, and that brings up another point that I want to show is that sometimes people will come back to me and they'll say, "Well, Simon, sometimes that 25-minute rule works. Other times I'll cover that trade only to watch it roll over, 15, 20 points. It's really frustrating." That's true. I can show you this trade from Thursday, right, where we had open drive higher. Okay, we came into the zone. Now notice a couple of things happened here that made this zone successful. Right, first we had the move in, and the move in actually on this trade here, first time in, gave you a 2-point rotation lower, right, 206.50 all the way down to 205.50. So again, the zone was well placed. Mission accomplished with 2 points. You take your 2 points, and then you had a decision to make. My stop is normally 2 points behind the zone. This stop never got hit. If you have confidence that we're going to roll over from that point, and I don't know how you did that here at new highs, but whatever that may be, if you had confidence, all you got to do is leave your stop here. You could have covered either half or 2/3 of the trade, right, and use the profits from this to offset any loss that you would have had up here, or minimize any loss you might have had up here for taking a shot to the downside, and you would have ended up with potentially, right, from 206 all the way down to 1990, 16 points ES. I didn't take that trade because I didn't trust this area to produce that kind of result. I was willing to take that trade from these areas up here, but not from this location. But then people ask me, well, how do I know? Okay, so the design of the 25-minute rule is because that far exceeds what my average time is over the course of multiple years of getting my first scale. We're in summertime or just coming out of summertime, and the market's a bit slower, and I understand sometimes the zone still works, right? But you got to understand it's a difference in objective and mentality. One mentality says, I've got to make every trade profitable. Another mentality says, I'm an opportunist. If they give it to me and I get my shot and I can take my shot here without taking any heat or taking a hit back the other way, that's where I want to trade. That's what the zone provides for me the first time in, okay? And that has worked very successful for me for a long, long time, and has helped me get a lot of traders from losing money to making money on a consistent basis, right? So that's point number one. I follow the 25-minute rule almost every time. I'm fine missing it when it doesn't work. I understand that the 25-minute rule can be frustrating and can often produce results, but you have the exact same scenario here, right? This is first time into the zone from the downside, right? So you'll notice first time in gives us a rotation up, right? You're able to get your, I believe, 2 points. I might be wrong about that. But either way, you can see that it far exceeded the 25 minutes. Here's second time into the zone, right? Still couldn't get it. You're over an hour in the zone at this point. If anyone was still sticking this trade at this point and surprised by the flush to the downside, right? I really don't know what to say. Same scenario here, right? First time into the zone, gave you a rotation back up to the upside. If you were able to take anything besides the very top of the zone, you're able to garner 2 points. But importantly, right, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. So worst case scenario here is if you took the trade here and you closed the trade out after 25 minutes, you lost 2 points on a trade, okay? But if you decided, hey, I'm going to stick this trade no matter what, you ended up getting smoked to the downside, right? Very next zone, same thing, 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes gave you less than, in this particular case, gave you less than a point of losses. Okay, so less than a point of loss, 2 points at worst case, even if you delayed, right? Did the zone end up working? Yes and no, okay? So it didn't go all the way back to 1992 and a quarter, right, which would have almost been the zone. You survived it by 1 tick, okay? But this comes down to a question of not whether this zone worked after 25 minutes, but whether you could survive this and survive this. It generally doesn't do you any good if you've taken a stop here and a stop here to get a win here. Is my only point, right? And even within that rule, one of my options after the 25 minutes is to simply bring your stop up to whatever the swing low was after 25 minutes, right? And that's still your worst case scenario that would have let you survive here. Personally, I know, as a matter of fact, when we were coming down here, I said skip this zone and aim for the 1990, and we just missed it by 2 ticks. Not a big deal at all, okay? And as a matter of fact, we came right into it the following morning. You'll see we came right into that 1990 and rejected hard off of it. That's what I was shooting for on late Thursday afternoon. Hopefully that explains why I had that mentality with 25 minutes, and I do suspend that 25-minute rule. Once I get into my high odds locations, I am willing to let the trade sit here much longer than I am when I'm close in, but the risk when it's close in that it'll break after 25 minutes is significantly higher. So again, I changed that rule on the outsides, but I keep it on the insides, particularly on inside range days, because they do have a tendency to break a little bit easier. The other thing that you needed to incorporate into the trading day, right, was that I had mentioned on, going back to NQ for a moment, first of all, NQ, in order to break down, had to get below this 40.55. I've been posting this for days and days that this is a critical area, this 40.60 to 40.55, that it had to get below 40.60 and hold below 40.60. Well, clearly, we have failed at this point right here to get below and hold below 40.60. So also, this downtrend had clearly been broken here at this point, and there was almost no rejection. We traded completely sideways. When you see it consolidate in front of a zone like this, this is not a surprise result whatsoever. So that's a little basic, the basics of how I handled the trades on Friday. I did not think it was the easiest day in the world. I think non-farm payrolls significantly adds to the anxiety and the difficulty level of trading, and I don't think it's necessary to trade non-farm payrolls to make money trading, quite frankly. Everyone sees home runs. Most people end up having losses, and the entire objective of what I'm doing here is to get people to stop going from boom bust to getting consistent. Okay, so the last piece that I want to cover here, written trade plan. Okay, if you'll notice, everything I did, I followed my trade plan. I didn't take trades in the first hour. I said I would take this trade first time into the zone. I lowered my stop according to the 25-minute rule, and I didn't fight this move all the way up. Okay, so having said that and having done that, okay, I have followed my trade plan. I don't have any anxiety about going into Monday. I don't have any deep losses. It wasn't an awful day, right? And I'm ready to make money again on Monday, and I'm willing to be patient to get that high odds set up that'll let me get paid. I'm not constantly trying to figure out every single tick in the market. That'll wear you down and wear you out as a trader. So my name is Simon. If anyone would like to try the live market preview for a 7-day free trial, simply email me. It's the same name as it's on my Twitter handle, tradeandperform@gmail.com. Send me your Twitter name. I will send you an email back, request a follow from the private Twitter feed, and which I'll give to you in that email. And you're more than welcome to try it out for 7 days. For $95 a month, right, it's simply the best deal out there. I spend 30 to 45 minutes going over the details of the market, setting traders up both mentally and tactically for the day to be successful. And anyway, that's all I have. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We're still in a wedge. The only thing I'd like to leave everyone with, we're still, there's no breakdown here whatsoever. There's going to be some significant, even a 2% downside move would be just a small correction and would bring us right back into the heart of this. Nothing awful has happened here, and with the way that we closed on Friday, I would think we're going to be trading over 2010 this evening when we open up in Asia, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us trading over 2020 tomorrow morning. So if we get something different, I'll adjust, but my focus is on the long side right now. Anyways, my name is Simon. I'm with Trade and Perform Coaching. I hope everyone benefited from this and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.